Hello, Jesse, best students. You're all welcome to our government class. And today we'll be discussing pressure groups. Last week we started with pressure groups. We talked about the meaning, the types, and methods of operation. So today we'll be looking at the functions. We'll make a comparison between pressure groups and the political parties. And we'll also identify the problems of pressure groups. I remember Mr. Ebo Izuchukwu, your government teacher. Now, at the end of this lesson, as students, we will be able to state the functions of pressure groups, be able to make a practical comparison between pressure groups and the political parties, and we'll be able to identify the problems of pressure groups. Now, last week, one of the things we discussed was the methods of operation, and these are some of the methods. If you go back to our notes, you will see more of these methods or the activities of pressure groups. Say, how do pressure groups influence government policies or public opinion? These are some of the ways. By writing letters to the members of the parliament, by lobbying members of the parliament so that they will make laws that will better their lots, laws that will improve their condition of work and so on. They can also petition the government, write letter of petition complaining one thing or the other to the government. They can engage in peaceful protest demonstrations. They can move from street to street, giving out posters, leaflets to people, canvassing for their support, creating awareness as regards their needs, their interests. They can also use mass media, use television, TV station, use newspaper to reach out to the people, to reach out to the government, so the government will hear them. They can organize public meetings. They can also send direct mail to the government. So these are the activities of pressure groups. Now let's see the functions of pressure groups. The first one here says that it brings government attention to the needs of the group. Through those activities that we mentioned, trying to influence government policy, trying to call the attention of government to their interest, to the need of their members, to the need of the general public. So government will get to know that these people are in need of this is their interest, and government will meet it. So it's an important function of pressure groups. And they also offer specialized expertise information to the government. For example, we have Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, which is a professional association made up of medical doctors. Now, they have all it takes to offer good advice to government on how to improve our public health. They can do that. We also have NUT, Nigerian Union of Teachers, made up of professionals, teachers, and these people can offer good advice to government on how to improve our educational system. So we have so many of them that have capacity to offer specialized information, expertise to the government. Now, pressure groups help in educating the members of the public, not just even their own members. They can educate them, enlighten them, sensitize them as regards their fundamental human rights. Some of their members may not know their rights, may not know that they have right to express their needs to the government. They have right to participate in the political processes, that they have right to do this or to do that, freedom of movement, ownership of properties, and all these things. So with the help of pressure groups, they will learn all this, even that of the general public. They will also learn from pressure groups that these are their rights. Now, apart from that, they serve as a link between the government and the people. They get the needed information from the government, relay it to the people, hear the needs of the people, the interests of the people, and return it to the government. They are in between the government, and remember that pressure group is an important, is a pillar of democracy. So in every democracy, you must see pressure groups. You must have them. operating. So they always stand between the people and the government, influence government to engage in policies that will better the lots of the people. Now, pressure groups promote economic stability. We mentioned the fact that they offer specialized information to the government, expertise information to the government, give good advice to the government. So with this advice, government can improve on economic policies, and they bring about government economic development and the growth. So that's what we meant by saying that pressure groups promote economic stability, because they are there to offer advice that will make government to take right decisions. Now, apart from that, they promote general welfare services. For example, we have a free legal service. Now, we talked about promotional pressure group. And one of the characteristics of promotional pressure group is that they engage in the cause that will not have direct effect on them, direct positive effect on their members. They fight for the cause of the general public. They fight for the cause of a targeted group, not just their members. They are not fighting for themselves. For example, human rights organizations. Human rights organizations can, offer free legal advice to members of the public whose rights were trampled upon, but they do not have the resources to go to court to seek for redress. This pressure group can help them go to court, seek for redress. Okay. Now, we also have some pressure groups that are enlightening the members of the public as regards HIV/AIDS. Today, we have COVID-19. We have pressure groups that have taken it upon themselves to educate the members of the public as regards what they need to do so that they will not contract this. Even if they contract it, what they also need to do to come out from it. We have those fighting to ensure that illiteracy level is reduced to barest minimum. And they're advising the government, they're influencing the government, and they are also educating the members of the public why their girl child, why their boy child should go to school. These are, services they render free of charge to the members of the public. Now, project groups integrate diverse interests. If you come to every group, come to every community, come to every association, you notice that people have different interests. Now, what project group does is that it aggregates these different interests and articulates them. It's, these diverse interests, project group will integrate them, aggregate them, and bring them to a manageable whole, so that they will be able to offer it to the government, present it to the government, and government will do something about it. This function is also performed by political parties. They aggregate the interests of the entire public, bring it to a manageable whole, and they express it. Okay? Now, that's by the way. They also promote and protect the interests of this number one. Every interest group, every pressure group aims at protecting and promoting the interests of its members or that of the general public. So it's important that we know this. All right. Now, this is the summary. Some of the functions we mentioned are here. Some of them are not here. Or they say functions of the pressure groups. You can see manifestation of the activities of the pressure group. You can see people with their placards, registering either their dissatisfaction or tabling before the government what they want, and so on. Now, we said that these groups educate people. Yes, they educate people, enlighten and sensitize the general public as maybe regards their rights, the reason why they should be involved in political processes, and so on. Then they also encourage people to participate in decision making, in election, to participate in referendum and all this. They also help the minorities. The minorities are usually small in population, so many times the government cannot hear their voice. So they will help the minority groups to air out their view, to air out their interest to the hearing of the government, so the government can attend to their needs. They also check the excesses of the government, call it checks and balances. So with project groups in operation, it will be difficult for government to become dictatorial. Very, very difficult. Because they are there on daily basis evaluating and assessing the policies of the government, the actions and activities of the government. and they can shout out if something is going wrong. They can, engage in protest to call government order to ensure that government operates within the ambit of the law. Then apart from that, they get people involved in decision making. Now let's make a comparison between political parties and pressure groups. Now here we say that both organizations integrate diverse interests. We have said this before now. They integrate diverse interests of the society. They hear the people and get to know their needs, integrate, aggregate, and articulate the interest to the government. That's just what both pillars of democracy do. Both of them are pillars of democracy. In every democracy, you must have pressure groups. If you like, call them civil societies. You must have political parties. So they're pillars of democracy. They help to integrate the diverse interests of the society, and they express them to ensure that they are taken care of by the government. And both are politically important, yes, for a workable democratic system. So if it is true that both are pillars of democracy, then they're important. For democracy to work, they are important. You must have pressure groups, you must have political parties. Now, why political parties contest elections to win and control political power? Pressure groups only influence government policies. You can see the difference. The first and second, we talked about their similarities. Now you can see their dissimilarities. That this one contests the election, aims at winning in order to control political power. But this one doesn't contest election, doesn't aim at controlling political power. What it does is that it influences government policies to better the lots of its members or that of the general public. Now, political parties use legislature and the campaigns to change government policies. They can talk to their members in the House of Assembly that they should support this bill, and they will use it to change government policies. They can also engage in campaign, move from one place to another, set up their platform, talk to people, and use it to influence and change government policy. Why pressure groups use strikes? These ones can go on strikes. Political parties cannot go on strikes, but this one can go on strikes. They can demonstrate. They can petition in order to influence government. So you can see the difference. Now, why the goals of pressure groups are limited to the pursuit of their members, the goals of political parties embrace the interests of the entire country. Every political party has the interest of the general public, of the entire country at heart. Unless it does not want to win elections. So it must factor in the interest of the entire country, of the entire state, of the entire communities, of the entire people of the state in its party manifesto in order to win election. But for pressure groups, some of them, except for promotional pressure groups, For promotional pressure group, yes, they work for the interest of the entire society, the interest of the general public. But other ones we mentioned, they are interested in their members. So all they do is to ensure that the interests of their members are protected. So you can see the difference. Now, political parties enlist people from all walks of life. Anybody can become their member. Anybody. They are looking for population. They want people from different tribes. They want people from different professions. They want people from different religion, different beliefs and all this. But for that of pressure groups, it's limited. Either profession or interest. So if you don't belong to their profession or you don't have the same interest with them, you can't be their member. So they're not looking for the entire society to join them. Now, all political parties are well organized. There is no political party that does not have defined leadership. You must, have their chairman, their national chairman, national secretary, their treasurer, all these things well defined. All political parties, without exception. But not all pressure groups have these characteristics. For example, we made mention of anomic pressure groups. That is usually unorganized. People of common interest will come together because of their interest and use violence, use arson to achieve their aim, and as soon as their aim is achieved, they disperse. They cease to exist. So it's not an organized pressure group. Does not have recognized structure. You can't, hold their representatives and say that we are holding you responsible for the activities of this group. It's just a mob group. So not all pressure groups are organized, but all political parties are what? Are organized, formally organized. Now, pressure groups may be present and active in a political party, but you can't have a political party present and active in a pressure group. Pressure groups are non-partisan anyway. They are non-partisan because they don't contest election, but they can support a political party that they believe that if this party wins election, it is going to protect their cause. They can support. They can engage in electioneering campaign and ask people, canvass and mobilize people to support a particular political party that they believe that it will protect their interests. But we don't have political parties in pressure groups being active, being present in pressure groups. Okay? Now, these are two mother unions in Nigeria. We have NLC. We also have TUC. They are the biggest pressure groups. They are mother unions that I would call them the umbrella unions over other pressure groups we have in Nigeria. Okay, now let's go to the problems of pressure groups. The first one is poor or weak leadership. Any pressure group that has poor leadership will not be able to achieve its objectives. If the leadership is not strong, remember when Adams Oshomole, Comrade Adams Oshomole, was the chairman of NLC, and how powerful he was, how he worked, how he fought for the interests of workers in Nigeria, and many times how he was arrested, intimidated, victimized, and he didn't give up. So we're talking about strong leadership. Every pressure group that has strong leadership will be on its path to achieving its goals. But if the leadership is weak, can easily be influenced by government, can easily accept bribe, then that pressure group cannot achieve much. Now, poor followership and non-compliance is another one. So if we have poor followership, if a pressure group takes a decision that will be going on strike so day, and the members decide not to comply to the decision of the group, such pressure group cannot achieve its aim. It's a big problem to it. It cannot perform. Now, a dictatorial government suppresses pressure groups. So it's one of the disadvantages or problems of pressure group. That if government of the day is a tyrannical government, if we have a despot as the president, or for example, if it's a military government, the pressure groups can only do little. So you can see the picture, how people are, arrested by the security men. So in such situation, you notice that the government, the state, a dictatorial government can use the state apparatus to muzzle the mouth of the people, can use it to intimidate and victimize those who are engaging in peaceful demonstration. So it happens. We have seen that in China. It happened in China and some other socialist and communist states. Okay? Now, some demands of pressure groups may sometimes be at the direct opposite to the national interest. Now, if workers are asking for increase in pay and they want 100% increase, and they are not considering if government will be able to pay, and government may be battling with inflation, too much money in circulation, and workers are asking for increase. So you can see it's in direct opposite to the national interest. And that will not help the state, help the economy of the state. So sometimes this pressure group may be asking or demanding for something that is not attainable. And it's a problem because government will find it difficult to do that. And if government does that, it will affect the economy as well. The inadequate funding limits the ability and ineffectiveness. If pressure group, every organization needs proper funding, adequate funding to succeed. Remember, they don't get allocation from government. People pay their levies, pay their dues, make donations, and this is how they source their revenue. This is how they make money. So if they don't have adequate funding, they may not be able to perform. Now, small size population of a pressure group is a big challenge, and it will make it not to be able, because if the population size is not big enough to influence the government may not listen. So every pressure group that has few members may find it difficult to influence government. But those with large population size, when they move out to protest, the government will see the population. When they go on strike, that it will affect the government, affect the economy. So government will always listen to such pressure groups. Now, the success of a pressure group is associated with the literacy level of its members and the representatives. Every pressure group will have representatives that it sends to the government, it sends to the lawmakers to lobby them, and so on. So if they don't have educated members who can represent them, who can articulate, who can think, and then be able to express the needs and interests of their members. For example, a market women association, if they don't have educated members, they may not be able to achieve much. The level of their achievement or their success would not be compared with that of the NMA, or that of NUT, or that of NUJ. So they can be the same. Okay. Now we have come to the end of our class. We thank God, and we have an assignment. This assignment was derived from past question, WAEC past question. So what are the functions of pressure groups? So I look forward to receiving your answer to this question. Send it to our Google Classroom for grading. Remain blessed. Bye for now.